I heard there was this podcast, yo, about something funny like wrestling and so. And you really care about wrestling, don't you? There are drop kicks and leases all over the board, and then something called a wrestling hold. It's a super duper fun podcast about wrestling. That wrestling show. That wrestling show. That wrestling show. That wrestling show. Well, Fro and Bill and maybe a guest or two is here to hold your hand and guide you through a podcast about wrestling. We have a lot of extreme fun, and that's without a gun, because I needed something to rhyme fun with. That wrestling show, that wrestling show, that wrestling show, that wrestling show. Well, sit your behinds gently down and listen to our podcast sound, and try to guess this week's pro question. You win a lot of cool things, and also help Bill with his bills. That's a super duper fun competition. That wrestling show. 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 That wrestling show.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to That Wrestling Show, the only podcast where all pro wrestling matters. And another exciting week here in the world of wrestling. Going to get into a lot of things. And we have a special guest here this week. Fro is still on assignment. Hopefully he'll be back next week for the most exciting episode of all time, the On the Road episode. But joining me this week is, you know him, you like him.
Wish I could be on that episode.
It is Ted.
What's up, guys?
Oh, man. Next week is going to be an absolute crazy episode, but I'll get into that.
Are you previewing every episode are you talking about every episode of Ride Along?
No, I am not. Although that would be a fun episode to do.
I was just wondering, because you said on the road episode.
Right. Well, I'll get into it a little bit later at the end of this week's show when we talk about what will happen next week.
Yeah.
But this week, we are going to talk about the latest news going on. And, of course, with tomorrow being Ring of Honor's Best in the World pay-per-view, we are going to make predictions for each of the matches that are taking place tomorrow night. Now, speaking of Ring of Honor, this is a good transition because, and nobody knows of this, I have some good news and I have some bad news to tell everyone. And the first one is the bad news. The bad news is, because usually for most pay-per-views, WWE, Ring of Honor, there's Twitter coverage of it. The bad news is there will not be any Twitter coverage for tomorrow night's pay-per-view event. This is out of my hands, but it is what it is. So, if you're looking for Twitter coverage for Ring of Honor's pay-per-view tomorrow night, you're not going to be getting it from us. That's the bad news. Now, on to the good news. And I want to ask you this question, Ted. Where do you get your podcasts from? Do you get them from iTunes? Do you get them from Podbean? Do you get them anywhere else?
I normally listen to your podcast on Podbean.
Okay. Well, no. In all seriousness, if you have Spotify, you can now listen to That Wrestling Show on Spotify.
Woo!
It was a long wait.
That's awesome.
It was a long wait, but I got the okay this week that you guys can now listen to That Wrestling Show on Spotify. So
that's a big plus for you, dude.
Yeah, it is. So so now you can listen to us another way. The Apple Podcast app, Stitcher, Google Play, and now Spotify. So really cool to have that. That I was waiting. I wasn't sure if, they were going to accept me. They were going to accept the show, but they did. And you can now listen on Spotify if you have that capability, which I'm sure some of you do. So, yeah.
I think your tea is ready.
It sounds like it, but okay. I want to ask you to start off this week. I want to ask you a weird question, because I am more than positive that all of us listening to this show or doing this show have, and there's a reason why I'm going with this, have had the weird, knock at the door, ask for something. So, I'm going to ask you this, Ted. Have you ever had anyone come knocking to your door, asking about maybe a missing dog or a missing cat? Have you ever had that happen before?
I kid you not. It wasn't a pet, but I got a knock on my door one day when I was living in college, and someone in the my hall said there was a rat in their dorm.
Okay.
And or like a mouse or something, like a mouse, and it got out, so they were just warning me.
Okay. I gotta tell you guys this. Yes, this happened yesterday. This is not wrestling related, but I should just bring this up just for the pure enjoyment of this show.
Alright.
So, we had a lady come to our door yesterday. My dad was the one who got to the door first. So he was talking to the lady, and we asked what was she asking for? What was it all about? She was telling my dad to keep an eye out for her missing chicken. Let me repeat that again. Missing chicken. And I want to tell everyone that
if I was on my laptop right now, I would look up what a bird just for this. Actually, I will for this story.
It's just if you for those that don't live in Maryland, it is actually a little bit common to have a chicken as your pet. It is a little common. But I just thought, man, that number one, that is so weird. And number two, that chicken's probably been eaten to death by now. So, if I get any updates on the missing chicken, I'll let you know. I'll let you guys know. But I just thought that was very, very weird. Speaking of weird, staying with animals, Shinsuke Nakamura is not liking dogs right now. And the reason I bring that up, I have read this story for the last couple days. This is such a bizarre story, Ted. But anyway, for those who have not heard, earlier this week, Shinsuke Nakamura got bit on the leg by a dog. But not just any ordinary... Uh-oh. Oh, Lord.
I just had to do this.
Wow.
Anybody who's on the scorecard knows that I had to do at least one thing.
Yeah, it's like one.
Right,
one.
What about the dog?
Okay, so anyway, well, this was a police dog, and yeah, and what happened was Shinsuke was going to enter into the arena because it was a house show that night. And the dog, or the police officer, had the dog. They were walking around checking out, for stuff. Like any bombs or anything.
Yeah.
And for no reason, this dog bites Shinsuke Nakamura's leg. And from the report that came out, Shinsuke had nothing on him. Nothing on his leg, nothing in his hand. The dog just bit him. Just bit him. So because of that, Shinsuke had to be pulled out of the house show and then had to miss Smackdown because they had hyped on that show him and Jeff Hardy for the U.S. title. That was going to be one of the featured matches on SmackDown this week. Well...
Yeah, I remember. I know that.
Yeah.
Wow, I did not know he was bit by a dog.
Well, because of this, there is a good possibility that Shinsuke might miss the tour of Japan, which WWE is currently on at this very moment, because of what this dog did. So, Yeah, he bit him pretty bad.
Wow.
So, the Bakersfield Police Department, this was in Bakersfield, California, released a statement, which I am going to read to you guys.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So this is the statement from the Bakersfield Police Department issuing a statement regarding this situation.
I hope this is like the Duck of Justice.
On Monday, June 25th, 2018, officers of the Bakersfield Police Department Explosive Ordnance Disposal Team were conducting a protective sweep of the Rabobank Arena in preparation for the WWE Live SummerSlam Heatwave Tour. During the sweep, the EOD team, which consisted of an explosive detection trained canine team and bomb technicians, entered an area of the arena where an employee of the World Wrestling Entertainment was present. The canine entered the room to sweep for the presence of any explosive material. As the sweep took place, the WWE employee was accidentally bit by the canine. The employee sustained an injury to his lower left leg. Medical aid was immediately summoned to the scene, and the employee was transported to a local area hospital for medical treatment.
Are there any reports on what type of dog it was?
Well, if it's a canine, if it's a police dog or a bomb kind of dog, I'm gonna guess it's a German Shepherd.
Yeah, that's a good guess.
That's my guess.
Here's my other question. When Shinsuke was transferred, did people think he was having a seizure, and then his friend just said, "No, that's just something he does"?
I'm gonna say no on that one. I'm gonna say no on that one. But man, you know, it sucks that it has to happen to him, and because I don't know what would have happened Tuesday. I don't know if Shinsuke was going to win the title or not. Well, we won't know. We probably will never know. But man, that just
reminds me of the time when right after Eddie died, he was supposed to get the WWE Championship.
Right.
Yeah, Batista was supposed to drop it to him because he was injured, but since Eddie died, Batista waited a couple of more months to... Actually, I think it was like 4 or 5 months more. He wrestled injured for 4 or 5 months.
Mm-hmm.
Until he absolutely had to get it done.
But that just sucks. I feel bad not only for Shinsuke, but I also feel bad for the police officer that was in charge of the dog. And I just really feel bad all around. I
feel bad for the dog.
Yeah. Well,
I feel bad for the police officer, too.
Yeah.
I mean, the dog was just trying to be a good boy and do his job, but...
that dog's probably...
I don't know.
That dog's probably racist.
Yeah, maybe the dog's racist. I don't know. Maybe the dog's an AJ Styles fan. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe he was aiming for Shinsuke's balls because, he was an AJ Styles fan.
Oh, jeez. But, hopefully Shinsuke...
On the scorecard, you know some of my comments that I'm doing here.
Yes. Well, hopefully Shinsuke does get better. Let's just say that. Let's hope she gets better.
He should. I think he should.
Alright, let's move on. So, Charlotte Flair is one of the athletes that has been selected to be in ESPN the magazine's body issue, which is going to hit newsstands tomorrow. And photos have come out of her from her photo shoot. And if you've never picked up an issue of ESPN the magazine, for in particular this particular theme, they do it in a very artistic kind of way. So I got a chance to look at these photos, and I gotta say, Charlotte looks amazing. I think your dog agrees with me.
Yeah.
Have you had a chance to look at these yet?
I think I've seen a couple of photos of them.
Yeah, she looks really good. She looks really, really good. So, you all be the judge for yourself if you agree or disagree with that statement. But it's going to come out tomorrow, and it's the special 10th anniversary edition of the body issue. So, but don't pick it up for little kids because they'll be like, "Ew, I see your butt." You know how kids are.
Yeah.
If you are a fan of Impact Wrestling, this next story is very good news for you because Eli Drake, one of their top stars right now in the promotion, has signed a new long-term deal. This was described or categorized as a contract extension on Impact social media accounts. It is not a short-term extension of his existing deal. His contract was running out, and there had been rumors that if he had not signed, he more than likely would have gone to WWE and he would have been in NXT. I think this is a great move for both Impact and Eli Drake, because Eli Drake right now, in my opinion, is one of, if not their best heel wrestlers that they have on the roster today. He is great on the mic. He can work in the ring. He's a very good wrestler. Plus, with Impact, they're not in the situation of, oh my god, they blew it again. They let somebody else go to WWE and they become this humongous star. They become sort of a bigger than life kind of superstar.
Yeah, for a while, it started to become like TNA Invasion in NXT.
Yeah, it really was.
With Sanity in NXT, Robert Roode in NXT, for a while, James Storm was in NXT. There's a couple of divas who were in NXT too, who were in TNA,
Impact,
who are now in NXT too. A couple of them.
Yeah. But I think this is a good move. I think this is going to benefit both Eli Drake and the company itself. So I think it's a win-win. I really do. I'm not saying that it's going to change, the landscape of wrestling and be, oh my god, Impact is now, the number one wrestling promotion in the world, but it's just a good move. It's just a good move on both their parts. We had talked about this a while back, but WWE made it. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Ted?
I didn't see anything.
Oh, I thought you were. Okay. We had discussed this a little while ago, but WWE made it official earlier this week with a press release that WWE Smackdown is going to Fox. Now, I want to point out two things, because we all knew this was going to happen, especially with the the contract that was signed and the amount that was given to them. The official date for SmackDown being on Fox has been announced. So, you want to reserve this date if you plan on watching SmackDown on Fox. It will begin Friday night, October the 4th, 2019. So it's a little over a year away, but the official date is October 4th, 2019. Now, this leads to the other bit of interesting news that comes from this. Because, if you've known WWE for a long time, they refer to themselves as sports entertainment. Which, if you guys don't know, I hate that term. I think it's a dumb term. Well, Fox has decided to put SmackDown and WWE in the Fox Sports department instead of being entertainment.
Please don't bring that announcer in here.
Who, Joe Buck?
Joe Buck, yeah.
You know, I read...
Hi, I'm Joe Buck, and I'm Joe Buck, and I'm Tony Romo.
No, we don't have to worry about Romo.
That would be good.
No.
That would be good.
Hi, I'm Joe Buck. I'm going to lend my whatever credibility I have left to this show. And, oh my God, that is absolutely disgusting. I mean...
And you thought Michael Cole was bad. Stay tuned.
I have said for the longest time that the problem with Fox commentary is Joe Buck gets the big... Like, okay, he does the NFL. He does the NFL every week.
Yeah.
And then, during the football season, he leaves for like 2 or 3 weeks to cover baseball when he doesn't even do it for most of the season for Fox. So, they got to figure that out. That's why...
I think he's a Cardinal announcer.
Yeah, but Ted, that's why, you know, back in the day,
yeah.
NBC and CBS, that's why it worked, because they had one specific guy to the sport as the main announcer. Like,
yeah, exactly.
So, but I highly doubt Joe Buck is going to get anywhere near this. But I think it's pretty interesting that they've put this in Fox Sports instead, or the Fox Sports division, than entertainment. Although, to be fair, with the coverage they've been getting from ESPN and CBS Sports, I really don't see too much of a surprise in that. I really don't. Alright, so, talked a little bit about this last week. Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, the promotion in California. They're going to have the annual Battle of Los Angeles tournament on Labor Day weekend. I have in front of me the Battle of Los Angeles.
What company?
Oh, Pro Wrestling Guerrilla.
Cool.
I have in front of me the list of 24 competitors that will be in the tournament this year. I had read some of them last week. This week, I have the full list in front of me. And let me just say, this is a very, very heavy international flavor this year. So, I'm going to go through all 24 of them and tell you guys who's in it. Some of you might be surprised. Some of you may be like, okay. And some of you may be, who? But that's alright. So, let's start with the American wrestlers that are going to be represented in this tournament this year. They are Brody King, Joey Janela, David Starr, Matt Riddle, Darby Allin, DJZ, Timothy Thatcher, and Jeff Cobb. Now, for the international lineup. And this is a very international lineup. We have Ilja Dragunov, Jody Fleisch, PCO, Pierre Corralette, or Pierre from the Quebecers for you older fans, Puma King, Chris Brooks, Ray Horace, Robbie Eagles, Adam Brooks, Flamita, Jonah Rock, T-Hawk, Shima, Travis Banks, Bandito, Walter, and Shingo Takagi. That is quite a list there, Ted. That is quite a freaking list. And the scary thing is Walter. If you've never seen Walter, Ted, he, like, you know the chops that Flair would give back in the day?
Yeah.
This guy's chops are harder, louder, and more dangerous. So, it's going to be a fun tournament to keep an eye on.
The Quebecers, were they in the WWF in the 90s?
Yeah. And Pierre is in the tournament.
That guy must be old.
He's in pretty good shape. You should look him up on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
You really should. A story that I didn't get a chance to talk about last week because of, putting time in talking about Vader. Access TV, which airs New Japan weekly. They have added a second wrestling show to their network. And it is Women of Wrestling. Now, I put this up in our Facebook group last week. Didn't get a chance to talk about it, but they are going to start airing Women of Wrestling in early 2019. And this is pretty cool because Access TV, for those who don't have it, is a good variety of, we got music concert footage, we have shows about albums, Dan Rather's still alive, so we have him on, and we have New Japan Wrestling. Now they have a second wrestling promotion, and it's going to be completely different from New Japan, so there's going to be no issue between the two organizations.
And this is Access TV?
Mm-hmm.
I need to look into New Japan on Access.
Well, they got a big show coming up July the 7th in San Francisco you might want to check out.
What show is that?
It is a live show in San Francisco called G1 Special. It's a pretty good card. I'll talk about it next week. But it's a pretty good card. Very good card. But no, I'm pretty happy about this. It's pretty cool to see the women get their own show. I mean, there have been female promotions. There are some. Shimmer, Shine, the original Glow, to name a few. So
I think Glow's coming back.
Yeah, their second season starts tomorrow.
I mean, Glow is in like the wrestling company, not
not the Netflix show.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Something about Glow coming back.
I don't know. I have not heard anything about that. Oh, speaking of Glow, did you see the part on SmackDown this week where the cast came over to SmackDown?
Yes, I did.
Oh, that was so bad. I mean, the
Yeah,
only...
That was pretty bad. That was pretty bad. Basically, Naomi was just told, hey, be a fan of Glow, and she became a fan of Glow.
I mean, the only good thing about that segment was that they had the star of the show in the segment. You know how, like, when they promote, like, a movie or a show and they don't have the main star in the segment?
Or they get the main star of the World Heavyweight Championship. Thanks, WCW.
Yeah, that too. That too.
You're proud of me for actually contributing this. I remember David Arquette.
Oh, God. I try to forget that. I didn't see it when it happened, but I try to forget that. Speaking of mistakes, this is another story I didn't get a chance to talk about last week on the show. This is not another Love Hurts segment, but this could literally be taken into the term Love Hurts if you're a male. It's another episode of the John Cena Nikki Bella saga, the saga that just will never end. John Cena is willing to reverse his vasectomy in order for Nikki Bella to have kids. Ted, can I just show everyone how dumb I can be at times?
Sure.
I didn't know that vasectomies could be reversed.
Me neither.
I
did not know vasectomies could be reversed. I mean, congratulations to Mr. Cena for
if he goes through with it.
Yeah. Obviously, he wants to be with Brie. Yeah, it's Brie, right?
Yeah, no, Nikki.
Nikki. I always confuse the two. I'm sorry.
All right, you know how it's easy to remember. Nikki has the bigger breasts.
And B is with Brian.
Right, Brie is with Brian. And they have a kid.
Brie Brian.
And they have a kid. And they have a kid named Birdie.
Birdie, yes. Literally sounds like the child of Big Bird.
But yeah, I missed that science class the day they talked about how vasectomies can be reversed. I did.
Honestly, I took a couple of years of biology in high school. I missed that class too, starring Mr. Ingley.
Oh boy. Science was never my best subject.
Bill Nye, the science guy.
Don't you dare start. Oh my God, I used to hate that as a kid.
Bill. Bill Nye, Bill Yankee, the wrestling guy.
Nah, okay, that's a little better. I want to talk about what happened on Raw, because while you and I watched the new Double Dare on Monday,
I was watching Raw. I might take a look at Double Dare.
You got to. It is really good.
Is it on Hulu?
That's a good question.
Sorry, I just said, man, it is pouring. Yeah, I think it would. I think Nickelodeon shows are on Hulu, so I might check it out just to see how the YouTube star does. I seriously wish when they said Mark Summers was on it. I wish.
Well, he is involved. He's involved in the show.
Yeah, I know he's involved, but he's like the PA announcer, right?
Yeah, but you still get to see him.
That's better than Joey Fatone's job on Family Feud.
Oh. I wouldn't.
Yep.
Wouldn't
yeah,
know.
Joey Fatone, or one of the members of NSYNC, used to be the PA announcer on Family Feud. He was like, "It's time for the Family Feud. I'm Joey Fatone, and here comes Steve Harvey."
I just checked, and Double Dare is not on Hulu.
Damn it. Maybe it's online. Maybe it's on an app somewhere.
Well, it's on Nick. Do you have Nickelodeon?
Yeah. I can look on Nickelodeon. I can look at Nickelodeon on Demand.
Yeah.
There we go.
All right.
It's probably going to be on Nickelodeon on Demand. There we go.
I saved Ted some time. Look at that. No. I
watched drama, so I can talk about this.
I want to talk about two things in particular. The first thing is the Roman Reigns Bobby Lashley storyline, and where in the world
hashtag Cavs and Warriors WWE.
It's like, where is this going? Because they made a story, or they created a story that they canceled the multi-man match that was going to happen, that was going to determine who Brock was going to face the next time he comes back, which will be in about 6 years at this point. Now, according to insiders, it is nothing more than a storyline, because Brock could come back whenever. But my thing is this, and Ted, this is the thing that bothers me. You have a title that is right now, actually, if you think about it, the last two Universal Champions, including this one, have been part-timers. Goldberg's title reign is excusable because he had it for like a month. This, I don't know what to say. It's basically what they're saying to me is, we've got nothing planned for Brock right now. We got nothing planned for Brock Lesnar.
And giving him the WWE Championship is not a good idea. Like, giving him a heavyweight championship is not a good idea for saying, we've got nothing for you, so here's the WWE Championship.
Basically,
there are so many people who I think are more well-deserving than Brock on a regular basis. Like, if Brock was wrestling every show, there are still better people I have in mind for WWE Champion than Brock Lesnar.
But Ted,
I mean,
go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say was, whoever gets that title next is going to have to work their ass off to get the prestige of the title back to whatever credibility it had.
I think Finn Balor could do this. And I am almost angered by the fact that WWE has not given him the WWE Championship.
Well,
you injure your shoulder in a
wasn't his fault.
Accident.
Yeah, it was a freak accident.
Yeah, you injure your rotator cuff in a match. It was a freak accident for the championship. Like, if I'm Vince, I'm like, hey, as soon as you get better and as soon as we know you can go on a weekly basis, you're getting that strap back.
But there's your problem.
That's what I would do.
But there's your problem, Ted. It's Vince McMahon we're talking about. If it was Hunter, if it was Hunter, I would totally understand that. But it's not. It's Vince. Vince has this thing about big guys, and he's been trying to push Roman Reigns for so long, like, I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised if the main event of SummerSlam, and I'm sure I'm going to disappoint people saying this, is Lesnar and Reigns again. Because Vince wants to make Reigns this humongous babyface. But the problem is, you can try all you want, the fans are not going to buy into it.
The fans will never buy into it.
No, they won't. And I'm not saying that Roman Reigns is terrible or bad. He's got good quality about him, but when you get shoved down your throats, for so long, it becomes tiring. It becomes old. So, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen there. But that's creative. But speaking of creative, the best thing that happened on Raw this week, in my opinion, was Bayley beating the crap out of Sasha Banks.
Yeah, Bayley needed to give would you consider that a heel turn?
Okay, now, I'm glad you brought that up, because, like,
even if it is a heel turn, I like that.
Well, okay, but here's the thing, though. Like, I think WWE's intention was to turn her heel, but she got this humongous pop for just beating the crap out of Sasha Banks that it's like, oh, it's about damn time. And then when she does, it's about as one-sided of a fight as James Caan in the first Godfather movie when he beats up his sister's husband, if you remember that scene. Okay, I'm going to take it you don't remember that scene. But
I think I do. I think I do remember that scene.
But what's so funny...
I'm sorry.
No, but what's so funny is, if you watch the clip again, not of The Godfather, but of Bayley beating up Sasha. She's standing over her, she says stuff, and then you can hear her say, "You ain't shit!" And, like, I can't believe I missed that, but it was so great. It's like, if they meant for this to be a heel turn, it ends up being, like, the best babyface turn ever. And she is a babyface. That's the thing. She was never a heel. But
I think Bayley is always going to be a babyface because of how long they've done this hugger thing.
But like, the thing is, I think what made it great was, instead of, and I'll give creative credit for this one. Instead of using that match that they had, the 6-woman tag match, to build up, and then Bayley just loses it. It happens as soon as the match is over, and Bayley does not give a crap, and she goes on and destroys Sasha Banks. And everyone involved in the match is like, okay, we're not gonna stop this. Because, like, Riot Squad had already left. Ember, I assumed, left. They're like, alright, you know what? We're not gonna help. They just need to settle this. So now, it leads into an interesting segment that we're going to have Monday night on Raw, where Bayley goes to therapy. I was a little taken back by that. I was like, wait a minute, why is Bayley the one that has to go to therapy and not Sasha?
Well, Team Hell No.
Oh, well, those were great segments.
Yeah, this is what I'm thinking about when I hear WWE in therapy. Team Hell No. Those were good segments. I'm hoping, like, the therapist comes out with Bayley for a few weeks and is like that.
Well, it's funny you bring that up because Dr. Shelby has been, he sent a tweet out the day after that segment aired, saying that he would be willing to help Bayley. And it's just...
Why not? That was a good segment.
I mean, my God. I mean, the guy sticks to the gimmick, sticks to the character. And it's just so great, Excuse me. Actually, I'm trying to find the tweet so I can read this to you all. Oh, here it is. Okay. So, this is what Dr. Shelby tweeted during Raw. He tweets, "Does someone at WWE Universe need my help? Hashtag to the rescue." Oh, man. Why did... They should have just kept Dr. Shelby. They should have just kept the character. But
They should have given him a talk show.
No. That would kill the character.
Shelby show. Shelby show.
That would kill the character. That would kill the character, Ted. I'm sorry. That just would kill the character.
Yeah.
But remains.
I really hope Dr. Shelby's involved.
Well, we'll just have to wait and see. We will have to wait and see. All right. Let's talk about the Best in the World pay-per-view that's going to happen tomorrow night for Ring of Honor. It is taking place in Baltimore, Maryland, at the UMBC Event Center. The pay-per-view is going to start at 9 p.m. So, if you're one of those, stay up late kind of people, this pay-per-view is for you. The doors are going to open at 7 p.m. with a special meet and greet, and then there will be a pre-show match at 8:45 p.m. So, I have the lineup in front of me. And
I get a question. Why aren't you there?
Why am I not?
I know earlier this week someone posted this thing about it and asked if you were going, and you said, unfortunately, no.
Well, if I wasn't going to Parts Unknown, to get ready for next week's show, then I probably would be attending this show.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So we have in total 8 matches on this card. We're going to go through each match, and you and I, Ted, we are going to make our predictions for who we think will win these matches. So are you ready?
I am ready.
All right, so we will go in reverse order from the bottom all the way to the top. And we will start with Kenny King against Austin Aries.
I'm going with Double A.
This is going to be a good match. Because at one point, Kenny King was mentored by Austin Aries, and Kenny King has improved since that time. But Austin Aries, he's been very successful. He's had a very successful 2018. This is obviously a non-title match. The Impact Wrestling title not on the line. But if Kenny King wins, I could possibly see him getting a title shot down the line. So I'm going to go with Kenny King on this one. I'm going to go opposite of you. Next match, Jay Lethal taking on Kushida.
I'm going to go with Lethal on this one.
Yeah, I'm going to go Jay Lethal on this one too, although this is going to be a good match. These two have had a couple matches in the past. They've been very good. I'm not going to be disappointed. This is going to be a very, very good match to watch.
I loved Jay Lethal when he was in TNA and I was watching. I really hoped that WWE would have grabbed him by now.
Well, there's still time. There's still time. Then we have a special 8-woman tag team match. On one side, the current Women of Honor champions Sumi Sakai, Jenny Rose, Mayu Iwatani, and Tennille Dashwood, aka Emma, against Kelly Klein, Hazuki, Kagetsu, and Hana Kimura.
I'm gonna go with Team Emma.
Alright. I'm gonna go with Team Klein. I think they're gonna be a little bit more vicious in this match, and I think they're gonna take over on this one. Next match. Bully Ray taking on the greatest professional wrestler to ever come from the state of Montana, Flip Gordon.
I'm gonna go with Flip Gordon.
Oh, you're going for the upset. Okay. Is it because he's the only professional wrestler you've ever known from Montana?
Maybe. I mean, I've never seen him work, but like Bully Ray, I know he's Bubba Ray Dudley.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing since this is nearing Bully Ray's career end, I think he might give something to Flip Santana.
Flip Gordon.
Flip Gordon.
Flip Santana. Oh, now that could be a good wrestler name too. Here comes Flip.
Yeah.
Flip Santana. You know what?
The Lucha Libre wrestler, Flip Santana.
You know what? I have seen Flip Gordon wrestle. He's very good. He's young. He's gonna get better. And this is gonna be a good match for him to get better in. But I gotta go Bully Ray on this one. Bully Ray's just been on a roll as of late. So I'm gonna say Bully takes this one. Then we have our 4 championship matches. The Ring of Honor World Television title will be defended. Punishment Martinez making his first televised title defense since recently winning the title not too long ago. He's going to defend it against Adam Page of the Bullet Club.
I'm going with Adam Page.
Alright.
Actually, no, I'm going with the champ.
You're going to go with the champ? Yeah, I think I'm going to go with the champ on this one as well. It's just going to be a straight fight. That's how I'm calling it. It's going to be a straight fight. But it's going to be fun to watch. Then we have the Ring of Honor 6-man tag team titles on the line as the Kingdom of Matt Taven, TK O'Ryan, and Vinny Marseglia defend the titles against members of Los Ingobernables de Japón, of Evil, Sonata, and Bushi.
I'll go with the second group.
You're going to go with the challengers. Okay. I'm going to go with the champs on this one. I think the champs are going to stay the champs in this match. Then we have, and this probably is going to be the show stealer, the Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles, the Briscoe brothers defending against the Young Bucks.
Briscoe brothers.
I want to say Young Bucks, but I think the Briscoes are going to take this one. I mean, the Young Bucks just won the IWGP Tag Team titles. They just won the 6-man Tag Team titles in Japan. I don't think they need the Ring of Honor Tag titles right now. I think the Briscoes are going to keep it. And then the main event, a triple threat match for the Ring of Honor World Championship. Dalton Castle defending the title against Cody Rhodes and the villain, Marty Scurll.
Cody Rhodes and Marty Scurll.
Well, one of them's got to win.
Alright, Cody Rhodes.
I'm going Cody. I am going with Cody as well.
Sorry, I thought that was a tag team match. I'm sorry.
As much as I love Dalton Castle, I think he's a fantastic character, fantastic wrestler. Cody's going to win the belt back. He's going to be a 2-time champion. So we'll see how things go with this pay-per-view and see if our picks come true. Now, Ted, something that I enjoy about life in general is when anniversaries come up, and they come up and you don't you don't expect them to come up. It just pops right up and you don't even think about it until you see it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, the reason I say that, and we're going to be talking about this for a little while, I think. I did not realize this until I saw it on Facebook today. Do you know what happened on this day 20 years ago?
Mankind versus Taker.
Yep. The Hell in a Cell match from King of the Ring, 1998. I cannot believe it has been 20 years since that match.
That made so many people's careers. That made Undertaker's career.
Oh my God!
That made Mankind's career.
Oh my God!
That made Jim
Ross's career. Oh my God! Okay, so I want you to think back, if you can. First off, did you see this pay-per-view? And if you did, where did you see it?
I did not see this pay-per-view.
When it happened, okay. You want to know something?
I wasn't a fan back in '97 too much. I mean, I think I vaguely remember seeing clips of this, being somewhat interested.
Right.
But, yeah.
This may surprise you. I did not see this event happen either. Live.
Wow.
That's shocking. I know, right? I was on vacation with my family. We were in Ohio. We were in the Cleveland area for our summer vacation. And I did not realize King of the Ring had happened. I didn't even know they were going to be in Cleveland for Raw the next night. But, no, I did not see this live when it happened. Unlike when we talked about Montreal 6-7 months ago, when I did see that happen. I did not see this Hell in a Cell match happen. So, because I'm going to pick your mind on this one, because I am very interested. When you first saw this match, just the match in general, what were your initial thoughts?
My initial thoughts, well, you know, like, my initial thoughts, like, when I saw clips of this, I was thinking, well, this is something.
Mm-hmm.
I thought to myself, this is absolutely something. And, you know, maybe someday something I might get into. And I don't know, really. I really, it's really confusing for me why I wasn't into it.
Yeah.
Because whenever I saw clips, I was like, wow, this catches my attention. But yeah, I gotta say, looking back on it,
mm-hmm.
it's probably one of, like, the biggest reasons why WWE is still around today.
I agree with that.
It made so many people's careers.
Mm-hmm.
That one match, you know, you think about Taker, his career wouldn't have been the same. You think about Mick Foley, his career wouldn't be the same. You look at Jim Ross.
Yeah,
Jim Ross's career wouldn't be the same. I mean, like how important is is that thing for Jim Ross? Well, like, there are so many videos of Jim Ross, like,
and that one quote.
Yeah, and it's not even just in wrestling.
It's been used for everything.
Yeah, like 3 or 4 years ago, I think it was Mexico got beat in the World Cup, like astonishingly bad.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
There was this video saying Jim Ross announces the World Cup. Don't do it! Mm-hmm. Don't do it!
Yeah.
And that's my witness. He's broken in half.
I'll say this. The first time I saw the whole match, because I had only seen clips, and when I saw the clips, I was like, "Oh my god!" You know, when I saw the match,
I did not know. Like, when I saw the video today, I did not know the top of the top of the cage was only a couple of minutes in.
Yeah. Well, actually, okay, I'll tell you about that, because Mick Foley, in a home video release called The Three Faces of Foley, which if you can find on videotape is a very good watch. So he does this. It's like an hour-long video, and he's got Matt and Jeff Hardy with him when they're very young. I mean, very young. So he talks about the Hell in a Cell match. So he has Terry Funk with him, and, you know, he and Terry Funk, they're like Calvin and Hobbes. You know, you just can't separate the two. So Mick talks to Terry, and he's like, "Man, I don't know how in the world we're going to top the first one." The first one being Undertaker and Shawn Michaels, which is an all-time classic match. So Terry, God bless him, he says to Mick, "Well, why don't you start at the top of the cage?" So it's Terry Funk's idea to start that match up on top of the cell. So if you're gonna blame anyone, blame Terry Funk. But no, when I saw that match, that was just incredible. Because the first fall, the famous fall through the table, that was planned. I don't think JR knew that was going to happen, which is why, you know, when you hear him say that quote, it is so passionate.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't think it was going to happen.
And then...
Or he wasn't told it was going to happen.
Yeah. And then, when Mick goes through the cell, that was not planned. That was not, you know, staged or choreographed, whatever you want to call it. That damn thing just broke on its own. It just broke on its own. And if you watch very carefully, that chair misses Foley's head by like 3 inches. Like, if that chair hits Mick in the head, he probably has some kind of brain damage, you know. And then the thing is, that match goes on, and Undertaker, he takes a beating in that match too. We talk about, you know, everything that happened to Mick. Undertaker gets a good beating in that match as well. You know, and the thumbtacks had never been done before in the U.S., and it just added on to the craziness. And, you know, when it's over, the fans are giving both men, but Mick in particular, a standing ovation. Because he didn't have to do that. I think just the idea that it's Hell in a Cell, he didn't have to do that.
Yeah, he didn't. He doesn't.
But if you think about it, because, like we're talking about, this is the 20th anniversary. After that match, all Hell in a Cell matches after that are not nearly as wild as that one. Because of the factor and the risk that, somebody could severely get hurt. I mean, the closest thing would be the two that Shane were in when he jumped off the cell to do that elbow drop.
Yeah, if you can recall, the Hell in a Cell between, I think, Ambrose and Rollins was pretty deep.
Yeah.
But not as bad. I think Mankind and Taker was really a cautionary tale.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, look at Mick. He's 53. He doesn't walk as good as he used to. And look at Undertaker too.
You see Holy Foley. You've seen Holy Foley when Mick Foley and Noel when they walk through the WWE archives.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen that episode?
I haven't, but I think I might want to watch that one. Could you tell me about that one?
No, Noel looked at it, it's the Hell in a Cell from you and Undertaker, and Mick Foley looks at it like it's a car crash that killed one of his children.
Mm-hmm.
He literally gets bad feelings when he thinks about when he sees the Hell in a Cell match or when he sees the cell from the Hell in a Cell match.
Yeah. Alright, let me ask you this. I'm not going to ask the question of, is it the greatest Hell in a Cell match? But I'm going to ask you this. As far as importance, how high is this match in the history of wrestling?
Extreme importance.
Would you go so far as to say it's the most important match in the history of wrestling?
Sorry, I just yawned.
No, it's okay.
As far as cautionary tales go, yes.
Okay.
As far as historically goes, yes. I would have to say it's one of the biggest matches in history. It was one of those matches where it's like, how far are you willing to take your body? Wrestlers today, people who are training to wrestle today, are looking at that film, that match, and say, am I willing to do this? Mm-hmm. Am I willing to do that? Am I willing to do that? Which is a good thing, I think, because, it helps them down the line. When they're in their 50s or 60s, they don't want to move like Undertaker. They don't want to move like Mick Foley.
Yeah.
They want to be active in their childhood lives. In their children and their grandchildren's lives. This is kind of I'll compare this. This is kind of like when you talk about sports,
Mm-hmm.
The concussion protocol of the NHL.
Right.
Nowadays you look at I'm seeing all these articles written in the Players Tribune and all these videos made in the Players Tribune. This guy was a 2-time Stanley Cup champion. He was like, I'm willing to get my name taken off the Stanley Cup if I can totally remember how I went to sleep, how I'm not having sensitivity to light, how I could be active in my children's lives again.
Or the NFL, for that matter.
Yeah, NFL for that matter, yes. I mean, the concussion protocol in most sports now are so sickening, really. So I compare the match between Taker and Mankind to the concussion protocol in sports. Like, they're treating one of the hardest injuries an athlete can have with a Band-Aid.
Mm-hmm.
If it just kept getting worse, if matches just kept getting worse, that would be exactly like what's going on with the NHL and the NFL that right now when they keep talking about we need concussion protocols. But I applaud Vince because he saw this match and he's like, something needs to happen.
Well, true, but the thing is, the whole concussion protocol
That's the best thing you got for Vince McMahon. I need to keep watching Something to Wrestle With podcasts to do a better Vince McMahon impression.
But to say this, if we had known back in 1998 what we do now, the concussion protocol thing in WWE would have probably started that night or the next night. We don't have that for at least another 10 years until after the Benoit, tragedy happens.
After the Benoit tragedy happens, after the Eddie Guerrero tragedy happens with wellness policy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think the fact that Benoit and Eddie were so close together, they were only a year and a half apart. I think that was the biggest eye opener for WWE.
Yeah.
Was all right, not only is this happening to Chris Benoit and Eddie Guerrero, this is also happening to people like Test. This is happening to people like Lance Cade. And there are some people who are quitting because of this business.
Yeah.
Which is a bummer because Mark Jindrak, I don't know what it is about Mark Jindrak, but I've always liked Mark Jindrak.
He's actually still wrestling.
Oh, he is?
Yeah, he's in Mexico. Yeah, he's wrestling in Mexico.
Oh yeah. I remember he was living in Mexico. He might be wrestling. Yeah. Is he wrestling for that company AAA?
He's working for CMLL.
CMLL.
Mm-hmm.
I like that he's still in the business. He is probably one of the best drop kicks from a big man I have ever seen.
As far as the importance of this Hell in a Cell match, it is very important for so many reasons. Like you said, without this match, Undertaker's career, Mick's career, JR's career, and I'm even going to throw another person in there, Jerry Lawler's announcing career, does not become as legendary as, it is. Because, well, okay, Jerry Lawler already had a legendary wrestling career. Jim Ross, at that point, I think, was already pointed as one of the greatest announcers of all time. Mick, for the diehards, was known for the crazy stuff that he did, not only in the U.S., but in Japan. And Undertaker was, Mr. Loyalty to WWF. After that match...
He was distinct to WWF.
Huh?
He was distinct to WWF.
He was.
Sting was
It's to WCW, yeah. But after that match, those four reached another level that could never be touched on both in-ring and commentary. And I don't think commentary-wise there has ever been, since that night, as good of moments as that match. And I don't think people realize that. Now, do I think it's the most important match of all time? No, I don't. I do think it's one of the most important for what you said. It's a cautionary tale of what could happen to you if you decide to take these crazy bumps. But if you think about what the legacy is of Hell in a Cell, unfortunately for Mick, and Mick has said this publicly, this is the match that most fans are going to remember him for the rest of his life, and probably forever, which is a shame, because he had very good matches before that match and after that match. And with Undertaker, it's the opposite, because in a strange way, the older he got, the better the matches he had. So what I think is the ultimate legacy of this Hell in a Cell match is the legacy for both Mick and Undertaker. For Mick, it's always going to be, to a lot of fans, that's his best work ever. To Undertaker, for Undertaker, it's probably going to be...
That's the turning point.
It was a great match, but he had a lot more better matches after. So... But yeah, that's... Still can't believe it's been 20 years. Cannot believe that. Time just flies by. It just sneaks right in you. Really does. Alright, let's start wrapping it up for this week. Then I'll tell you guys what I got in store next week. You can follow the show on Twitter at Wrestling Show 11. You can follow me on Twitter at House of Bill.
You can follow me on Twitter at CapsHeart99.
Join our Facebook group. It is That Wrestling Show Fan Group. You just type that in, That Wrestling Show Fan Group, in the search bar. You are right there. And when you add yourself, more than likely, I will add you in to what I consider the island of misfit toys of pro wrestling Facebook groups, in a good way. Check out the website, thatwrestlingshow.com. Visit the Patreon page, patreon.com/Bill's World of Podcasts, and your donations and support will help not only this podcast, but some of the other podcasts that I do as well. I want to mention that this week, Sharks Pond, South Park Podcast. It is a milestone episode. It is the 100th episode of Sharks Pond. And I'll be celebrating it by reviewing the 100th episode of South Park called I'm a Little Bit Country. Alright, so next week, I want to fill you guys in on what's going to happen and what probably is going to happen. Next week, for the first time ever, That Wrestling Show will be on the road for an entire episode. It has never been done before. Hopefully it goes very well. I really do. I have no idea what to expect, so my advice to you guys is expect the unexpected. Now, what could also possibly be happening next week on this podcasting channel, wherever you listen to it, you're going to be getting Coliseum Corner. Going to have that back. You're going to get at least one episode. That's at least one, the minimum, with a possible maximum of 4 episodes. Maybe. That's a big maybe. Just going to have to wait and see how everything works out. So, on that note, Ted, thank you again for stopping by and helping along with the show this week.
No problem, bros.
Everybody, have a good rest of the week. For all of you Americans like us, have a fun, safe, and happy 4th of July. The 4th of July is this coming Wednesday. And when you are done stuffing down those hot dogs and hamburgers and drinking your beer, or if you don't live in America and have a normal Wednesday, come back here next week for That Wrestling Show, the only podcast where all pro wrestling matters. And as always, wrestle on!